Finding the last used row and column in Excel VBA. Build dynamic applications that grow with your data. Have you ever written a VBA macro that worked perfectly until someone added more data? Or perhaps your code can only process the first 100 rows, even though your worksheet had 2,000 records. This is one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. They write code for today's data instead of tomorrow's data. Professional VBA developers never assume how many rows or columns a worksheet contains. Instead, they let Excel figure it out automatically. In today's lesson, you learn how to find the last used row and last used column in Excel VBA, so your applications can automatically grow with your data. Let's get started. Welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Raphael, and on this channel, we learn how to transform Microsoft Excel into a professional software development platform using VBA. In our previous episode, we learned how to reference cells using range, cells, and offset. Today we are building on that knowledge. One of the biggest differences between a beginner's VBA program and a professional business application is flexibility. Professional applications don't assume how much data exists. They discover it automatically. Whether you are building a payroll system, a school management system, an inventory system, a POS system, or a staff attendance system, finding the last used row and column is a skill you use almost every day. Why finding the last row matters in VBA? Let's imagine you have a student database. Today it contains 50 students. Next month, the student count increased to 150 students. And by the end of the year, it has increased to 1,500 students. If your VBA code stops at row 50, what happens? The new students are ignored. Your application becomes unreliable. Instead of hard coding row numbers, we want VBA to ask Excel, how many records are there today? That's why last used row matters. In a real-world example, imagine you are building Rafina School Manager. Every new student registration adds another new row. This makes your worksheet to grow every day. Instead of writing this, for I is equal to 2 to 100, we want something smarter. That is, allowing VBA to discover the last row automatically. And that's exactly what we are going to learn how to do. Understanding Excel's last row. Suppose your worksheet looks like this. Student ID, name, class. Notice that the last used row is row 6. If we register another student tomorrow, our last row becomes 7. Your VBA code should automatically detect this. The most common technique is by writing your code this way. Dim last row as long. Last row is equal to cells into bracket rows dot count, comma 1 dot end into bracket Excel up dot row. Many beginners copy this line of code without understanding it. Today you understand every part of it. Part 1, rows dot count. This means that go to the very last row in Excel. In modern Excel worksheets, the last row is 1,048,576. Part 2, cells into bracket rows dot count, comma 1. This means that go to the last row in column A. That is, imagine standing at the bottom of column A. Part 3, dot end into bracket Excel up. Now VBA will move upwards until it finds the last data. It's like pressing Ctrl plus the arrow up on your keyboard. Part 4, dot row. Finally, return to the row number. That is the last used row. Go over this section over and over again until you truly understand it. Now that we know what last row is, we can look through our data by writing our code this way. Dim last row as long, dim I as long. Last row is equal to cells into bracket rows dot count comma 1 dot end into bracket excel up dot row. For I is equal to 2 to last row. Next I. Now our code will not stop at row 100 because we wrote our code this way, but it will automatically process every student, whether there are 20 students, 200 students, or 20,000 student records. Finding the last used column. Rows aren't the only thing that grows. Sometimes new columns are added to our data. For example, we might have ID, name, class, phone number, email, parents. Instead of assuming that we have only 6 columns, we can let VBA discover them automatically. Here is how we write our dim last column as long. Last column is equal to cells into bracket 1 comma columns dot count dot end into bracket excel to left dot column. Let's understand this. Column dot count means move to the last column in Excel. Then dot end into bracket excel to left means move left until data is found. And finally, dot column means return to the column number. Now let's learn how to loop through columns. We can process every column in our data by writing our code this way. For I is equal to 1 to last column. Next I. This is perfect for important tools, report generators, dashboard builders, dynamic forms, and displaying items in list view. Let's look at this real-world example from Rafina Systems. Imagine we are building Rafina POS. Every day, new sales are added. Instead of writing our code this way, range A2 to E100, we can write our code this way. Last row is equal to cells into bracket rows dot count comma 1 dot end into bracket excel app dot row. Range into bracket A2 to E and last row. Now the report always includes every sales, no matter how many records exist. Let's look at some common beginner mistakes. Mistake number 1, hard coding row numbers. For example, for I is equal to 2 to 100. What happens when there are 250 rows? Your code ignores the remaining 150 records. Mistake number 2, using wrong column. If your data starts in column C, don't search in column A. Always use a column that is guaranteed to contain data. Mistake number 3, assuming every worksheet is the same. Different sheets may have different layout. Always choose the correct column when searching for the last row. Professional development tip. Here are some rules I follow in every VBA applications. Never assume the size of your data. Always let Excel discover it. Whether the worksheet contains 10 rows, 100 rows, or 100,000 rows, your code should work exactly the same. This is what makes professional applications scalable. Alternative method. Although .end Excel up and end Excel to left method are the most common and fastest, you may also come across used range or current region. These can be useful in specific situations, but they behave differently and may include blank cells or previously used areas. For most business applications, .end Excel up remains the preferred method because it's reliable, fast, and easy to understand. We will explore used range and current region in a future episode. Let's look at this quick comparison table. Last row, the code is cells into bracket rows dot count comma 1 dot end into bracket excel up dot row. Last column, the code is cells into bracket 1 comma columns dot count dot end into bracket excel to left dot column. Remember this: bottom up is equal to last row, right to left is equal to last column. Once you understand this concept, you rarely need to hard code rows or column numbers again. Let's put everything into practice. This is your assignment. Create a worksheet with simple student records. Add new rows of data. Automatically detect the last row. Loop through every record. Find the last used column. And finally, generate a dynamic report that grows as new data is added. By the end of the demonstration, you will see how professional VBA applications adapt automatically without changing a single line of code. Today, you've learned why hard coding row numbers is a bad idea, how to find the last used row, how to find the last used column, how to build dynamic loops, common beginner mistakes, and professional techniques for scalable VBA applications. These simple techniques are used in almost every professional Excel VBA application because real-world data is always changing. Learning to write dynamic code today will save you countless hours of maintenance in the future. In the next episode, we will explore another essential VBA concept, and that is looping through data in Excel VBA. You learn how to automate repetitive tasks, process thousands of records efficiently, write cleaner and a more powerful VBA code. If you found this tutorial helpful, give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the Raffina Systems Excel VBA Developer Series for more practical Excel VBA tutorials. And in the comment section below, what is the largest data set you've ever worked with? Was it 100 rows or 10,000 rows or even more? I'd love to hear about the project you are building. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode. Bye for now.